I don't know if you can claim first or not, Scott, because you're in the studio, right? You're in the StreamYard thing. So I don't know if that's fair. You know?
I was first. I was first in the YouTube app.
You are first, I guess. I don't know. You're always first, Scott. You're always first in my heart. Always.
Don't lay it on too thick now.
Okay. Anyway. So, God, I should have made this a more general stream because there's a lot of shit I'd love to complain about right now.
Well, there's nothing stopping you. You can mention what you want to mention about the false dichotomy between junk DNA and design, and then continue on with whatever you want to.
Yeah. Well, that article I sent you from CMI, I think it's Creation Ministries International. Is that what it is?
Well, Creation.com, I think that's them.
One of them. They had an article today that we secular people are guilty of sophistry. That's kind of a heavy charge, isn't it? Because we're changing the meaning of the words miracle, natural, methodological naturalism, and what was the other one? There was one more.
My gut instinct, without having read the article yet, other than just skimming, is that he's just wrong because he's a creationist, and they have a habit of being wrong.
Yeah, well, that leads to this junk DNA thing. Because originally, junk DNA, I think it was by Susimo, I don't know what his name was, coined it back in like 1960 or 1970. And what it meant is that a lot of the DNA, it doesn't matter what the sequence is exactly. The sequence is, the content of the sequence is very relaxed. And that's what they meant by junk DNA. They didn't mean that it was non-functional. They didn't mean that it did nothing. They didn't mean that, what they meant is that you could change the letters without changing the function, basically, of those areas. So that's what it originally meant. And the first time I ever heard of junk DNA was from a creationist. I've read a lot of biology books and molecular biology books, and junk DNA is just not a big topic. Now, I think in the modern edition of molecular cell biology, they mention junk DNA because the creationists and the anti-evolutionists brought it into the public, right? For whatever reason. Let me see. Okay, molecular biology of the cell, Bruce Alberts. I shall pop that up. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, okay, there it is. There. Oh, I hate when it does that. Why does it always do that? I'm trying to get used to a new layout on my Mac. And so there'll be a lot of, a lot of complaining from me. Okay, junk DNA. Let me just check. Molecular biology of the cell is kind of like, okay, well, they do mention it a few times here. Let's see, when the mitochondrial DNA, let's see. They mention 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times now. DNA? No, they don't. Okay, that's DNA they mention. Okay, junk. Let me see. Okay, what are they talking about? Junk. Oh, each DNA molecule, blah, blah, blah. I'm not finding it. Not sure what's happening. Oh, yeah, they do mention it now. And it's mostly because of this, because of this misuse of the word and the glorifying the word to mean something it doesn't. So it becomes a straw man argument that we believe in junk DNA. Good audiobook read by John Waters. Let's see where else they mention it. Yeah, so-called junk. So they do mention it a couple of times. So I don't know. Hard to say. Oh, let me go ahead and drop that over there. And got it. So, and then the idea that DNA is either junk or it's highly functional. That's the false dichotomy, and that's ridiculous. Stupid monkey philosophy. Good morning. So, what is that book about? Junk by John Waters, without me looking it up. Oh, that's what my producer's for, right, Scott? You're my producer.
Oh, am I a producer?
You are.
Golly, I don't feel very productive.
I know. That's always been my complaint about you as my producer.
Now, you mentioned, or we mentioned that creation.com paper, CMI, whatever we want to call it. It says methodological naturalism was first introduced by philosopher Paul de Vries in 1983. He presented it orally at a conference and later published in his 1986 article, Naturalism and the Natural Sciences, in the Christian Scholar Review. So apparently it was actually created by a Christian thinker. I'm typing, I know. I'm asking a particular large language model. Was Paul de Vries a Christian scholar of some sort?
Oh,
yeah, he was a Christian. So maybe I need to read that article, because he was a Christian scholar who used. He might have been more or less pro-science and just using the idea of methodological naturalism to separate it from metaphysical naturalism.
Yeah, because they care about it, and your average scientist doesn't care about it at all. That's why I think a Christian would have come up with it. And so anyway, he says one of the means that seculars have used to achieve dominance in the culture over the last 250 years, it's a long time, has been manipulation of language. Do you think secularists were dominant in the 19th century and the 17th century? I don't.
No, not really. Not really.
Weren't they still putting them on stakes and lighting the wood?
I do know that back in the 19th century, things were being discovered and concluded that went against a lot of the dug-in dogmatic teachings of both Catholic and Protestant type churches.
Yeah.
And so maybe they don't like the kind of language that was, as language adapts itself as time goes by, maybe they didn't like the way language is adapting itself but to say that,
right.
This is conspiracy theory nonsense. They're going to claim that secularism is raping the language and fooling everybody, and rather than creationists are just too stubborn to accept the established discoveries of science.
Right. So they're accusing us of manipulating the language. Okay, manipulating the language is what everybody does when we use the language, and we modify it over time, right? And so I'm accused.
Does he mention that De Vries invented the phrase methodological naturalism?
I'm not sure if he does. Let me see.
See if you can do a search for DE space VRIES.
Oh, is there a space in between?
There may not be. The way Copilot has it, it's a DE and then a space VRIES.
No, he doesn't seem to mention it.
Does he mention the Christian origins of and the recent origins? This
no, I don't think he does.
Naturalism. didn't occur until the mid 80s.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So key terms have been modified and new terms coined with a slant on the rules of engagement between Christianity and secularism.
And
that's what they're doing.
What rules of engagement? That's my first red flag.
Right.
You're cheating. You're not following the dictionary.
Yeah. So the things he's after are natural law, miracle, and methodological naturalism. So he says that natural law, that we're trying to make it like it's a human law, like it's prescriptive, a natural law. He's accusing us of that. And it's like, no. That's all a law is in science, is a mathematical relationship that we have created to measure or quantify in some way something that happens in nature. And if it happens all the time, like gravity, if it's like clockwork, we'll call it a law, right? If you can count on it. Like you can calculate.
This article in the.
I'm gonna put that in chat, and I got to put it in my description because otherwise, like if I don't put it in my description, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you just want to get traffic to creation.com, you know.
Oh, that's bullshit. People that say that, you know, it's like, who the hell are you? I mean, like our channel with 850 subscribers, which we now have today, 850. Is going to like really help them out when they have like 500,000 subscribers. Like we're not helping promote garbage by being honest. Oh no, it's got my source email in it. Shit. Okay, let me try to modify this a little bit. If I would, I'm gonna have to do that online. I'm gonna do that live. I'll be. Okay, equals, let's see, UTM. Okay, wow. Articles, definition, UTM campaign. Okay, we got an @ sign right there. And I think you get rid of that.
Why did I put my glasses? I hate having to depend on glasses.
I know, that's why I'm gonna have my cataract surgery, and I asked them to make sure that I was lean toward seeing up close rather than seeing far. Because when I drive, I'm used to putting my glasses on. I feel naked without them. But that's the only time I use glasses. Except now, I'm blind all the time, whether I use glasses or not. Okay, so I got that. I'm going to put that in chat again, guys. I'm sorry. That was a long link with my email information in it, probably. I wonder if you can use that to hack people. Not giving you any ideas out there, but
looking at the section here under methodological naturalism, he doesn't acknowledge its recent use, recent invention. He mentions a theistic evolutionist named John Halt, but not de Vries, and he accuses, this is why he thinks it's some sort of secular trick and manipulation. The issue has to do with word association. It's natural to associate methodological naturalism with the worldview of metaphysical naturalism. On the other hand, we can associate a method called methodological naturalism with a non-naturalistic worldview so easily, or can we associate? So the guy's twisted in the head. I mean, it's nothing like that. It's a particular philosopher thought that was a useful distinction. That word caught on, and he's saying that's some sort of manipulation. But he doesn't mention. I don't know why it's meaningful to me that it was invented in 1985. But he certainly doesn't mention the roots of the word at all. Yeah, it's kind of amazing that it's that recent. But I accuse them of the same thing with junk DNA. That basically, so I guess if I were to not be a hypocrite, I would say, okay, well, they have over time in the 21st century, we have come to think of junk DNA in a more creationist religious manner.
than we used to think about it. But when it was first mentioned in the 1970s or 80s by that famous biologist who I can't remember, it was meant to. What it meant is that there's a whole lot of non-conserved DNA in the genome. So that's what it's about. And I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit in a moment. And I've got a couple of things I can show you that I want to make the point. But anyway, okay, first of all, laws of nature are bullshit. Creation is theological things that they talk about. The second law of thermodynamics, the entropy and all of that stuff. They see these things as like handed down laws from God. And I don't. I see them as description of the structure of the universe, the way things work around us, right? You come up with a natural law if you wanted to do some math, that sort of thing. Hi, laborious cretin. And did I mention? Yeah, I did mention stupid monkey philosophy. That's what we're doing, the stupid monkey philosophy. So anyway, so that one's out. And the next one is well, he talks about miracles for a while, and then methodological naturalism. The point I want to make about methodological naturalism is that no, it's not a philosophy. It's the way organisms work. All organisms work according to an assumption that we have naturalism, that the world works in a regular and natural way, according to these measurable metrics that we can put on things. That's how, if I were to throw an apple to you, there's a pretty good chance that you'd catch it if I threw it right and we were, if you were younger, I guess. But because we rely on methodological naturalism for everything that we do in our lives, and every Christian believer, every crazy ass Satanist and woo believer out there, people that believe in Bigfoot, all of that stuff, in their daily lives, they all use methodological naturalism. When you're driving on the road and something jumps out in front of you, you don't say, ooh, blah, 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 pray it away, right? You turn your wheel. You're using methodological naturalism when you avoid hitting something on the road. When you turn the wheel on your car and you expect the tires to follow, you are using methodological naturalism. And what we do with science is we just extend that trust and regularity of the universe, and we start writing down what we call laws, which are mathematical equations that tell us how it works. And so we're not doing anything metaphysical, and we're not like totally ruling out miracles and everything, except in our work and our daily lives. Like they could accuse me of ruling out miracles if I'm driving to work and I turn the wheel on my car. It's like, wow, why didn't you just pray for that to happen? You're ruling out miracles. Why are you turning the wheel? Why are you relying on methodological naturalism?
Or when I was a young driver, I would always argue with people about wearing seatbelts because a lot of people wouldn't, by people, I mean stupid teenagers like me, wouldn't wear seatbelts because, hey, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. It won't make any difference then. Oh, I'm so edgy, maybe. I don't know. But
maybe,
which is stupid. I mean, that's not something that you would hopefully do with your children. So why is that good for you? If it's when it's your child's time to go, it's your child's time to go. No, don't worry about car seats. Just let them sleep on the back window of your car, like we used to do when I was a kid.
Yeah. So here he is again. However, as people jettison the Bible, I didn't jettison the Bible. I never picked it up in the first place. I don't have one. I'm sorry. I didn't jettison anything. But anyway, he's claiming that we jettisoned the Bible. And it's like, okay, so Western culture may have had an uprising of secularism in the last 100 years. We've increased from 1% to 19%, right? I mean, and he's complaining that we're taking the Bible and we're throwing it out. It's like what he's doing is exactly what he is accusing us of doing, changing the rhetoric, trying to change the the conversation, basically. So this guy is just bullshit all the way down. Anyway.
Yeah, it's just sour grapes, I guess, because they've slipped a few percentage points in their dominance over America.
Right. So I want to talk about junk DNA. I'm trying to figure out how I can do that, because what happened to that? What happened to that thing? Let me see here. I don't know. I don't want that. I don't want that. What I do want is Sublime. Oh,
okay. So the guy changes the conversation from methodological naturalism to claiming that the orderliness of the cosmos and the impulse for a posteriori investigation are simply deductions from the attributes of the biblical God. So he's trying to basically coin a phrase called methodological Yahwism, saying that because the world is orderly and natural, that aspect comes from the God that he just kind of inserts in there, and therefore we should call it methodological Yahwism, if anything, instead of methodological naturalism. So in other words, just the whole idea, the very notion of using the phrase naturalism is offensive to him.
Yeah. Yep. Or what did I do here? Let me see something. Oh my goodness. Where is it? Okay, I'm gonna go off screen here for a little bit. I gotta gather my shit together. Where is it? Come on, give it to me. I know it's here. There it is. Cool, it's here. Oh God, I hate that.
So this article was actually printed back in 2012.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did I just?
Journal of Creation.
Why did they send it to me today?
Well, it says it was updated on 10 November of 2025, so I don't know what they did to update it.
Okay. Oh, no, that's not the one. That's not the one. What have I done? Wrong.
Laborious Cretan has asked an interesting question.
What is it?
It's on the screen.
I'm not looking at the screen. I'm searching for something.
Has anyone tried using AI to help map viral damage, junk versus other types in the expressions?
Let me take a look at that. You have it displayed?
It's on the screen.
Has anyone tried using AI to help map viral damage versus junk versus other? Yeah, well, okay, that's kind of a complicated answer to that. Is we're using AI a lot right now to research this stuff, but they've used all kinds of methods, statistical methods, whatever, to basically one of the big ones. Okay, and this has to do with the similarity between humans and chimp DNA. And somebody will come up with there's 1% difference, and somebody else will say there's 14% difference. Well, if me and Scott were to map our DNA nucleotide for nucleotide, like, all those little characters, one for one, me and Scott would probably be about 86% similar, rather than 99.999% similar. But if we looked at our genes, we'd be 99.9% similar. So it depends on what part you look at. My point is that there is no junk DNA versus functional DNA. There is a gradation of between those two different extremes. to where the sequence matters. It matters what those letters are, to where they don't matter at all what those letters are. And a surprisingly large part of the genome has the feature that it doesn't matter if you change those letters at all. You're still going to be the same person. Your body's going to work the same way. Your cells are going to work the same way. You're going to live just as long. But then we'll go along and we'll find one, and we change this one nucleotide in some part of your genome, and you die, or that cell dies, or gets cancer, or goes away, right? Or if you change it in the like a zygote, when you're first created, when you're a one-celled animal, you can change one of those nucleotides and you can kill that zygote. Or you could end up with a mutant, of some sort, some sort of mutation, having 2 legs or 1 leg instead of 2 or whatever. So I mean, it's a range of things, and what they do is they get us to defend this idea of junk DNA, and we don't want to defend it because it's a lot more complicated than that. I mean, it isn't. It really isn't the way we ought to be thinking about the genome at all in this dichotomy, and that is my problem with the whole thing. So I wanted to show something, and I'm not able to find it. Can you keep us busy, Scott, for just a moment?
Keep us busy, okay. So, fearing the God of intervention. I'm looking at some of the headings on this article about, once again, it's linked here in the side chat somewhere, defining arguments away, the distorted language of secularism, where the gentleman takes issue with what us evil secularists have done with natural law, miracle, and methodological naturalism. And of course, what we've done, us damned dirty secularists, is to achieve dominance in the culture over the last 250 years due to the manipulation of language. We've manipulated language. But actually, the person that invented the phrase was a Christian, a philosopher and a Christian. And so, and it goes on from there. So it might be an interesting article just to see where these creationist types will take ideas and twist them to make it look like some grand conspiracy against them.
Yeah. Yep.
The reason methodological naturalism had to be adopted was just basically to deal with the fact that even if you're a believer, science is incapable of dealing with claims of the supernatural. It can either describe things in naturalistic terms, or you can have total faith that miracles occur. You're never going to describe a miracle using science, because miracles wouldn't be miracles anymore, because you're able to describe them and predict
them.
But
there's two kinds of miracles that could happen. And one of them is a miracle could happen every single time you do something. We can end up with a complete suspension of nature to where gravity all of a sudden quit working. Every time we said ho'oponopono, ho'oponopono, and gravity quits working for 5 minutes. Okay, that would be a regular miracle, we would call it. But then if you found something in physics that explained why that worked, which would be really difficult. Why would you saying a word cause something to happen? That would be a miracle. That would be what we call supernatural. There's no way in hell that the structure of a word hummed by some random human being is going to cause gravity to quit working, right? Then the other one would be if it happened, like say 1 out of 20 times that people said it. So that would be not completely regular, but regular enough that we could measure it. We could actually do a statistical or a probability. We could do a scientific experiment to measure that miracle. if it happened often enough. But the kind of miracles that they want to talk about are miracles that no one ever sees, except for these anecdotes, right? Somebody in South America saw Mary, blood come out of the nail wounds or whatever on a crucifix, that sort of thing. I mean, but nobody else sees it, and nobody sees it regularly, and nobody sees it every single time we create a crucifix. So you see what so we can think about miracles in a scientific way, and we can make those statements that I just made. Don't you agree? Or am I not getting through to you? Or am I not explaining myself?
Oh, I understand what you're explaining.
Okay,
no
good.
problem.
So I'm being clear. Okay, so there is a way that science could recognize miracles if they happened often enough that we could, have them happen in the lab, and we could be making some sense out of this whole thing. The problem with their miracles is that they never fucking happen. I mean, I've been waiting for 74 years and I have yet to see one. Not a damn one. I don't know.
There are several words in the Greek New Testament that are translated as miracle. None of them maps directly on the word miracle. That's an English word. And
I saw one miracle in my life.
And what would that be?
It's a miracle that my mom and dad didn't kill me before I was 6 years old.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yeah. One miracle. Anyway, every atheist needs that one miracle to happen, right? Every secularist. Anyway, so should we talk about junk DNA?
Go ahead.
Okay, this is a cell membrane right here. You see where my little cursor is? There's a cell membrane. And this is a cadherin molecule. And they form these little junctions between cells. And these things, when you have calcium floating around in between this is in between the cells. This is inside the cell. Okay, now down there. So, and none of this matters to junk DNA. I just want to tell you about it because I'm excited about it. So these little things here, they're like Velcro. They hook together with another one on another cell, and they'll hold two cells together, and they need calcium ions in order to do that. And these are called cadherins, or they're a certain kind of protein. And these proteins go right through the membrane, and they hook up to these complexes. And there's a reason why I'm telling you about this. And then it hooks up to something called actin. Well, actin is like if you were to stuff a balloon with cotton, and the balloon wasn't really all completely filled with air, you could make a shape with the balloon. Or if you had like a rubber ball stuffed with cotton, the cotton would shape the balloon. So if you see a cell that's square, it's probably because of actin that it's like that. So it's this fibrous stuff inside your cell. And the thing we want to talk about is called cadherin, which is these red things here. And cadherin forms it sort of forms a bond between the cadherin, which is on the outside of your cell, hooked into another cell, and the actin on the inside of your cell. So it hooks up the structure of the inside of your cell to the outside of your cell. And that's what catenin does, particularly alpha and beta catenin. And we're interested in alpha. Okay, have I explained that? And it don't matter. Oh, yeah, it does matter. What does matter? Okay, here's what matters. Okay, so this is alpha catenin. These are the amino acids. And I can make them bigger. Make them bigger. Those are all the amino acids, and there's 905 of them. So that is the product of one gene. Okay, and this is 905. You multiply that by 3, and you end up with 2,715. Did I do the math right? I did. Okay, so 2,715 nucleotides make this protein. Okay. Now, when we say junk, sometimes out here on way on the end of this thing down here, we may not care if that's an arginine or arginine and a valine. I mean, we could probably substitute that amino acid with another one, and it wouldn't affect the functioning of that protein at all. And so we would call that kind of junky DNA because it's not exactly accurate, right? Now, the other thing is that because of the way codons work and they're redundant, we could make a change in the nucleotide and we'd still end up with arginine and valine here, R and V. Arginine is R and valine is V. Even though we change the DNA, we end up with the same amino acid in the protein. That's called a synonymous mutation. It makes a mutation in the DNA, but it doesn't matter to the protein. A non-synonymous mutation would turn arginine into, say, valine or something else. Okay, so that's so this whole protein, even though they want to tell you about protein machines, there is a lot of stuff in this protein that you can modify without changing the function of that protein at all. But now there are some of them that if you modify just one of them or a handful of them, you could change that protein so it worked either better, the same, or less well than the standard protein that we got here, that we got a picture of, right? So some of these mutations could actually make this protein stickier and work better. And we find them all over. And between you and me, Scott, there's a chance that we have one amino acid different between our genes in this particular protein. And yet we're both still here today together on a YouTube channel. We're functioning, reproducing human beings. That's sort of okay. So that's one level, but now we got a lot of levels to go. The other level to go, well, I was already here, the mRNA. Let me get that back to a normal size. Okay, what we're looking at here is the mRNA that gets transcribed from the genome, and then it gets spliced and it turns into mRNA. And the mRNA gets leaves the nucleus, and then it gets turned into a protein. So what you're looking at here is, you see the lowercase letters right here? Okay, that's stripped away, basically. When you start translating the protein, what we're looking for here is a way to start the protein, and we're not going to find that until we get down here, and we find this ATG. And so that is a methionine. That's the first amino acid of that protein. So this area up here, okay, is not translated into protein at all. It may or may not have some effect on the function of this protein, okay? It may be that we can change these letters all over the place. So these are we would call these less functional. The sequence itself is less functional than when we get down here. This ATG is very important. Okay, that one we need to start our protein translation. And we're just looking at the mRNA here. This is not the genome yet. I'll show you the genome in a minute. And you can see that in the mRNA, everything is functional up until we get to the end. And then we end up with this sequence that stops the transcription and will stop the translation. There will be a let me see, is TAG, is that a stop codon? I can't remember. I can't remember stop codons. I'm sorry. But anyway, all this stuff down here is called the 5' end of the RNA. So that's called 5'. And the one up on top is called 3'. And we call them prime for reasons of chemistry. Don't worry about it. Or no, 5' on the other side, 3' on this side. Did I reverse that? Anyway, so all of this stuff, you see all these TTTs, these like sequences that are kind of long, those have to do with stopping this thing from translating to some degree. But we could probably change a lot of them. So we would call that junk or junkier than the stuff up here. Okay. So now we go over and we look at the gene itself. And oh my goodness. Okay. So this thing right here is one gene. And here it is. And here is the first exon up here that ends up in the RNA. You see the uppercase? Those are exons. And these lowercase things are introns. So we got to look for, what we're going to look for is another exon, because this stuff is intron and it gets snipped out and it's pretty junky. It doesn't matter. A lot of it does not matter at all. Okay, we found it. Okay, here it is. The second exon, way down here at 1,300 base pairs in. Okay. Are you understanding this? Am I being clear? Got questions,
You are
Scott?
clear.
Okay. So here's the second intron. You see how small that is compared to that? And then we'll go ahead and we'll look for another one. So we're at we're at 13,000. Okay, that's at 13,000 nucleotides because every one of these is 100 every line. And I've got 130 on the left. So now if I want to go find another one, I can go search for an uppercase A. And now I found my third exon, which is at 127,800. So what the hell was all this stuff up here, right? What is all of this? Tens of thousands of these things that don't matter. That if we compared your genome and my genome, we would end up with all these differences, these mutations, because we come from, different lineages a few hundred years ago. Okay. Let's go look at another one. Let's see if I go to find next.
So is it the YEC creationist intelligent design person who thinks, well, if there's a God, then he don't make no junk. And so therefore that stuff has to have a use.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's evidence for common descent.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing that they're trying to tell us is happening here. And it just isn't, it isn't the case. So here we are at 189,000, and we got another one, but I'll go all the way to the bottom, and this is the very last of it, and that's at 140. Let's see, what is it? Oh my God, what's wrong with me? 1,463,700. That's how many characters we got. Let me double check that. Alt F /N. I'm going to do a find. Oh no, I think I have a macro for this, but I can't remember what it is. Find all, del. Okay, so now I want to go. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? What are you doing to me? Why is it beach balling? That's a pretty easy thing to do. That's not that many things. Oh, technological failure. We got a technological failure here. We have a technological failure. I'm sorry. Apologize. Anyway.
Are you making really fat files? Is that what it is?
Well, it ain't that big. I mean, it ain't that goddamn big. It's small, actually. And I don't understand why it's beach balling on me. Let me go there again and just see if it's still beach balling. You still you are.
Is that a cloud document or something that's local on your
No,
computer?
it's Sublime. Yeah, no, it's local, and it should have. I mean, for 14,000 lines, it should have done this right away. I must have done something wrong, and I don't know what. Anyway, oh well. I suck. So no, that's my calendar. There's that, and there's that, and there's that. Let me go to Google. Okay, so the reason I started talking about that gene is here it is, basically. This gene is right here. Let me get it in frame. I don't know how hard that is to see, but this is the gene right here, CTNNA2, which is the alpha-catenin gene, right? And I don't know if you can you see we got a vertical line here, and I can make it bigger, and I will in a minute. But there's these little vertical bars. You see these vertical bars? Those are the uppercase part that I showed you before. The question tends to imply that AI is not something other than a tool. Am I reading too much into that? Did I miss some comments here?
Well, that's from that earlier question about AI.
Oh, okay. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to ask questions again, guys. I'm a little distracted or distractible. But anyway, so this is what a gene looks like, and what in this area under here that you're looking at are alternate transcriptions of that gene. So these are alternates that they find evidence for, and they've, but for the most part, the top one you can look at. So, okay, so the gene starts over here, and you can see these little tiny vertical bars that are kind of hard to see on my screen. And I wish I could make them bigger, but it'll screw things up if I do. But now I can zoom in a little bit and take a look at those vertical bars again. Maybe they'll be a little clearer. Zooming in. Why is that taking so long? Oh my God, UCSD. Okay, here we go. Refresh. Okay, now you can see them a little bit more. You can see the vertical bars. And you see on the end here, the last exons, we have a whole bunch of them, basically, over here. And let's zoom in again. Let me try to make this. Let me try this. Okay, I made it a little bit bigger. So you can kind of see the gene here. This is only part of the gene. But you see those little vertical bars. We can blow those up. We're going to keep blowing them up so that you can see what an exon is. And now we're at the end of it because it won't stay put. I'm going to put that over there. Okay, you can see, you do see the vertical bars, Scott. Please confirm. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can see the vertical bars. Some of the red bars going down.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm way at the end of that gene. I think it's the same gene. I don't think it went off the screen. Yep. Okay, CTNNAA. Okay, now the vertical bars are getting bigger. Like on the right, you can see that that one's getting a little fat. And at some point, we can make this extremely fat right here. Why did it refresh on me? Oh, let me go in. I don't dare go 10 times because I'll lose my gene. They're very bad at keeping it in the right spot on your screen. Oh, no. Okay, so now I'm just looking at an intron. I got no vertical bars at all. So I got to switch over here, and I can see the very end of that gene. You can see that the exon is getting bigger. And you remember the part I showed you at the very end of the mRNA? That's where the bar narrows here. It narrows down. And then right here, it's fat. The fat part goes into the protein. The narrow part is the 3' end of the mRNA. Okay. But anyway, this is intron right here. Oh, shit, I should have gotten there. Okay, so this is all intron. And what is all this stuff here? MER and TTC and MER5A and all these things, right? These are line signs and jumping genes, basically. These are repeats that end up junking the genome, and we call those junks. This right here, we've got an ALU SX1. That is a transposon. That's one of those ERV things. These aren't endogenous retroviruses. They're this is a sign called ALU, and it jumps in the middle of these introns, right? And what you're not going to find is if you look over here at the protein part of the gene, you're not as likely to find a transposon or a virus in here, right? But these are all viruses that have jumped into your intron, all of these things. And if you, we zoom out again. Okay, you see how many there are? These are all repeats and viruses that end up in that genome, and they kind of line up on these introns. So the introns are there is no vertical bar, they're just that horizontal. And you'll find that it's filthy with viruses that have jumped into our genome. Did you know that this is just one intron in one gene, right? And we have all of these viruses that we found that have jumped into it. So you can see how filthy we are with junk DNA. So, comment, please? Question?
It's like
Anything?
It's like having your own built-in junk drawer.
Yeah, yeah.
Although I use the term junk, and that's really not a a good thing to use.
Right. And here we're looking at, the tail end of that gene, the part where it was all jammed up. And we can play this game for a long time. And we can, go over and take a look at all the exons. And you can see the exons are the light blue or dark blue bars, and the introns are the vertical. You can see that intron is everywhere. And those are pretty much junk drawer DNA. They don't really matter a lot. There's a part in order to splice this out, there's two things that matter. One of them is right after, at the beginning of the intron, at the end of the intron, and there's a little bit of a sequence in the middle that kind of has to sort of fuzzily match in order to splice that intron out and get it out of our protein. And that's what Rebecca was talking about with her alternative splicing. But now if I zoom, I'm going to zoom out 10 times. We're looking at chromosome 2, by the way, which is my favorite chromosome because it came from chimps. Sorry, dudes, but it came from chimps. You see this bar right here, that all those colors? It collapsed all those viruses into this bar. So every one of those colors is like some kind of junky thing, some kind of a train wreck, sort of a rebuilding thing. Like, okay, if you look at Gaza Strip right now, and if they start rebuilding it, that's kind of what the genome is like. When they start rebuilding the buildings, I probably shouldn't have brought that up. Is that callous? I feel so bad for those people. They eliminated their fucking city. But anyway, so you can see that in this one gene, there's a whole lot of crazy ass stuff. And we have found function for something like 100 or 200 of those out of millions, tens of millions of those we found function for. So you can't tell me.
What's that as a fraction?
What's that?
200 divided by 10 million?
Out of, let's see. Okay, how many? Let me ask ChatGPT quick because I keep forgetting.
That's 0.00000002.
Yeah, okay.
Functional.
Yeah.
If 10 million
that we found function for, right? And that doesn't mean that these things don't do something. Now, you might get some kind of a disease or, some kind of you might get bits by some kind of weird-ass snake down in Texas. There's only 2 of them, and they have a special kind of venom. And it will turn out that one of these sequences might help you survive a little bit if that snake bit you. And because these things... Because your cell is just a churning mess of chemicals, and it turns out a statistical average that works. And if something happens to your cell that is going to kill it, there's a very slight possibility that one of these little things somehow will save your ass because it will throw a wrench in that gear and stop it from turning and killing you.
You might have a bad month, but you might survive.
Right. But now we're going to go out and we're going to take a look at the bigger picture. I shall try. Try. Okay. There's our gene. I think is this it? This is TACR2. This is EVA, LRT, CTN. Okay. So I don't know why they keep moving it, why they don't center it when you... Okay, so this is that whole gene that I was showing you before. Come on. You can do this. What happened? I don't know what just happened. Well, when you're using tools online, they never work right? I don't know what's going on here, guys. These are cat liftoff genes. What are they doing down here? Oh, okay. Yeah, these are all. So I've zoomed out quite a bit now. And all of these things are genes. But in between here, there's just like, look at this shit. Okay, these are all genes, basically, and kind of hard to see what they're showing us here. P-arm, yeah, they're showing us. I'm looking at a different track. Hang on a second. What I want to show you is This vast area right here, that's blank. We got no genes here. There might be down there. Yeah, there are genes there, but I zoomed out too far. That sort of thing. Sorry. There's these vast sections of DNA right here. Okay, this shows you the genes. So now we're looking at genes again. So this little stack here is one gene. Here's another gene. We're looking at IMT, IMMT. Anyway, the point is, you see this vast space in here? That's like maybe 1 million nucleotides that have nothing in them in between these genes other than a little bit of regulatory stuff. So we'll find function for some little sliver of that. And when you start looking at the sea of genome, you get an idea what they're really talking about with junk DNA. What they're talking about, they're telling you that it doesn't matter if those things mutate, you're going to survive just the same as if they didn't mutate most of the time. And sometimes there's going to be a variable amount of deleterious behavior or beneficial behavior, depending on a modification. And okay. But there's just huge areas here that, aren't functional. We have found no function for, and we don't expect to because all of this stuff is kind of necessary. Like, you've got to have, like, how can I explain that? You got to have some room. If you're having dinner with a bunch of people, you can't stack them right on top of each other. You have to spread them out a little bit. And these genes have to be spread out a little bit. And the other thing is, if you fire a gamma ray radiation bullet at your genome, if you get a lot of fluff, a lot of buffered area, it's less likely to hurt you or kill you, that sort of thing. So I think I'm done with that, Scott. How do we deal with this rhetoric that, you guys said it was all junk and now we're finding functionality and more and more complexity?
Functionality, because when you're talking about 200 functional items out of a population of 10 million, that's just minuscule. That's just but that's slight correcting, of a number. It's not, we're finding junk DNA is just totally useful and it'll fix your garage and cook you a dinner as well. They're just.
But you know what they're going to say?
The idea.
Okay, they're going to come back and say, but the trend is that we're finding more and more functionality. Okay, and that's because
10 million or 200 out of 10 million is not a trend.
Not a trend, right? But they will imply that this is the trend. Well, 20 years ago,
lying. If they're going to try to lie and manipulate, they're going to try to lie and manipulate. What you can do is point out where they are manipulating and misrepresenting and lying and being a Donnie Deals or a raw Matt thing.
Right.
So,
but 40 years ago, Scott, there was 0 that we found function for. And 37 years, there was only 1, and now we have 200. So they're going to say, the trend is upward. 200 out of tens of millions.
Yeah. If you refuse to see the context, then there's just nothing you can do with a person like that.
Yeah. So it's a rhetorical trick they're using on it. They got to realize that they're lying. Why do they actually believe it? They don't think they're lying, do they? They actually believe it. They've convinced themselves that the trend is upward and that given 500 years, we're going to find functionality for all 100 million of them, Like
what? I guess one question would be, what are they saying has been found to be not junk anymore? Because it's my understanding that, have they found stuff that they realize, this does have a function and it's not junk DNA? Or is it stuff that they did find chemical activity, although it's a very low signal, a lot of noise, and they're counting that. I don't know what they think that we've discovered, in other words, and does that qualify as activity? You have to question them at every level.
There aren't tens of millions. There's 98,000.
Okay.
So, and it amounts to 45% of our DNA. So 98,000. So out of that, so do the math. About
0.002. So that's not quite as impossible a number as before, but still that's 0.002. So that's 0.2 of 1%.
1%, right? That's not a lot. It's certainly not a trend. Anyway.
Yeah, and how far would you have to compress the data on a graph, or logarithmatize it or something to get that to show as any kind of significant trend line?
Yeah, quite a bit. Anyway, so and there's other things, there's in between there's regulatory regions, and there's little areas that pinch together to form the shape, the 3D structure of chromosomes inside your cells. There are areas that stick to the surface of the nucleus. There are areas that don't. There's just all of these little complexities, and you'll find hundreds or so nucleotides that have to be a certain percentage of CTs or GAs in order to make this function. And we'll find functionality for that. And there's all these but what you're looking at, when you look at this genome, when you look at this picture that I was showing you, let me see here. Where is it? Am I still showing it? Yeah. When you look at this picture that I'm showing you, there's all these little pinpoints of things that we would say, yeah, that's functional. That makes a liver cell, and a neuron. But you can't say that this whole goddamn thing is conserved or, has to be highly functional. You're going to find little pinpoints here and there. There's all this space between. You saw how big this gene here, 1 million long, right? This little tiny piece right here. And then in between, we have these vast, huge expanses of nothingness where we have no function at all. But then right in the middle of that, we'll find a little pin and we'll write a paper on it. We'll say, oh, this has an effect on such and such a disease, or this has an effect on whether it's a liver cell or a neuron. And but it's a little tiny pinpoint. And we keep having to remember that. Anyway. Okay. I think I beat that to death, didn't I?
I wouldn't call it beat it to death.
Well, if it's a puppy, I wouldn't call it that, but because that'd be bad. But it's the favorite puppy of the creationists.
It is one of their puppies they like to beat.
I just killed your puppy. I killed that puppy. Anyway, so I was I had a software company back in the early 80s, and my partner, name was Rick. He was a brilliant guy, really into marketing and stuff. And he was on the school newspaper, and they were supposed to come up with an advertisement for attending the prom. And he had a picture of his friend with a shotgun pointing at a puppy's head. And it said, if you don't come to the prom, we're going to kill this puppy. And they got suspended for 3 days for producing it.
Yeah, you don't threaten puppies.
You don't threaten puppies. Yeah, they had a picture of it. And I guess people were offended. They totally missed the point of the ad. It's like, yeah, we're going to kill this puppy if you don't come to the prom. Anyway. Okay. What is called when one person answers a question with sarcasm? What is that called? The question with sarcasm, and a third person thinks it is a statement claimed to them and then cites the combo before an explanation is possible. Is that
tone deaf?
What is that? Sophistry? Is that sophistry? person answers the question with sarcasm. No, that's yeah, I don't know. Missing the fucking point. Yeah, missed the fucking point. Yeah, that would be that's a good one. On the spectrum, sort of. Yeah, totally missing the point. Okay, what else going on, Scott, in your life?
Oh, not much.
Yep.
Just
How long did we go?
Trying to deal with the sudden changes in weather.
Yeah, winter. Like I'm trying to get my I put my life on hold every winter, and I'm too old to be doing that. So I'm going to try to enjoy this winter. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make a snowman. I'm going to make a snow fort. I'm going to frolic in the snow like a St. Bernard. I'm going to try to enjoy weather.
You could just skip all that and take a nap.
I could. But so if you found me frozen to death out in my yard, I was just trying to embrace winter. That's all I was doing.
Camping outdoors.
Yeah, camping outdoors. Anyway, in Minnesota here, what we do is we take a shovel, and if you got all that fluffy snow and you pile it up in a big, huge hump, like about maybe 8 feet tall, and that hump will harden after you change. When you disturb the snow, it turns into like rock, and then you carve out the inside of it, and you make yourself a little igloo. And if you go in there, the temperature will stay at around 32 degrees, 33, 34. You can, with a couple people, you can heat it up to about 40 or 50. So you can actually, no matter how cold it is outside, these things are super insulated. And if you're ever lost in the snowstorm and you want to survive, and you happen to be carrying a shovel with you, I guess, but if you make one of these things, you can actually survive in there without freezing to death. And you heard it here first on Answers in Atheism. I said there are answers in atheism. I just gave you a fucking answer to how to survive in the winter.
Not one prayer in all of that.
Right. And no prayers. We don't got them. Okay, I'm done. We got an hour. We're out. Thank you, people, for showing up. We have all 5 of you. Thank you so much.
We had some good comments and questions along the way.
Yeah, I don't think it has a name. 100% rhetorical, in fact. It just happened to me recently. Yeah. Be interesting to hear that story. Anyway, goodbye, guys. We're ending the stream.
Bye.
Goodbye, cruel world.